instituted.
Wow, I love it.
Right.
I love it.
So who the fuck gonna work?
Got it.
Where we gonna get employees from? Slavery is prohibited. Look, slavery is prohibited, so whoever we get the labor from has to be properly compensated for their labor.
And taken care of, yes. Because we're not running it like it used to be run. We're doing it properly.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing, Elder. That's so fucking cool. I like that, bro. And it all makes sense. It all makes sense. They're trying to create an aura of negativity when really, like I said, we're blossoming. We're blossoming right now, but they don't want us to see the truth. Or else we just automatically take over everything. This right now is their form of what? Delay, buying themselves a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Wow.
So look, a person coming to America, working for all us rich people, we gonna be giving them tips and shit. They gonna come over here for 3, 4, 5 years and they going back home and spread the wealth.
Exactly. The whole world's gonna get rich how we supposed to. I got you, Elder. Sharing the wealth as we should.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Back to all the tribes, and it's going to start at home base.
Yeah. And the rule for this land, I don't know what the rule is for Europe and Asia and Africa, but over here, everybody must be properly compensated for any of their works.
And it's gonna, and as so said, so done. Ashe. Man, that's hitting, Elder. Yo, family, look forward to a bright future. I've been telling y'all for a long time, New Earth. It's not what they've been telling you. They just don't want you to survive to see it. They don't want you to live to see it. That's what spiteful people are. Misery loves company. They don't want you to get your reward. They're hating on you. That's really what it is. These dudes are hating on you. The governments, these devils, whatever you want to call them, they're really just haters. Dang, that's deep, fam. I freaking love it, Brother Rod. Yeah, man. And thank you so much again for coming through with the chop, King Elder. Yeah, man. Every time you come through, like I said, it's so expansive, man. Amazing. And gratitude to the max, King. You feel me? Yeah, man. Infinite. Is there anything else you want to impart on the people, family? Anything else you got, you know what I'm saying? You want to chop? Because I'm telling you, like, yeah, you can stay on all night if you fucking want. You know what I mean? But I know you're a busy man. You got your things you want to deal with. But is there anything else you want to chop? You know what I mean? I'm here for it. We're here for it.
Look, anytime you want to come on and do another one, we can do another one.
Let's do it.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I've been watching you for years before you even knew who I was. Look, I've been watching Dolo the Pilot Man. That's my dude. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Dolo's good.
Brother Kalai with the sun blood data.
Yes, Yizzo.
Yeah. So
that's my naga right there for real. Yeah,
he was kind of leery of me at first because he thought I was gonna be on some bullshit. I was like, man, I can't be on no bullshit with you. I love the shit out the shit you do.
Kalai's a serious dude, man. Kalai's serious.
Yeah, he ain't for no games. He ain't for no games.
No, I know Kalai like in real life, bro. Like I know that nigga. Like I hung out with him. That nigga's a serious brother, bro.
I know.
Like,
I'm telling you. Look, I know who doing the work, and everybody that's doing the work, they flowers. I don't care who they is, but if you doing some work that's undermining the people's liberation, I'm coming. Soon as Big Mama say, get that motherfucker, I'm dragging your ass out. I'm not having no remorse.
Let's go.
It might sound like it's personal for me, but it's not personal. It's just family business. It's just that I take family business and my function is doing family business very personal.
Of course, as you should. And we got to defend it because that's how the whole thing got corrupt in the first place. We weren't defending like we were talking about earlier. Nobody's defending the matriarchy. No one's defending the throne, the birthright, the bloodline, the legacy. No one's defending it so anyone could come poach it. You feel me? We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that. No more.
My mama told me as long as I'm right, I can't lose a fight. And I ain't lost one yet because I try not to be wrong.
Ashe. Super bliss. And remember, family's not amen, because we're not dealing with no hidden nothing. Everything's out in the open now. You feel me? So, as usual, we got to adjust our lexicon accordingly, right? We got to adapt or we die. And we know that they're using these words, sound, spells on us. It's all cymatics. It's all energy in the frequency, fam. And we got to start studying. We got to start watching everything that comes out our mouth. What the Bible says, it's not what you put in your mouth. It's what comes out your mouth that condemns you. You heard me? It's that shit you talk. It's the spells that create the reality, and keep you tied in religions, tied down. What in the we call it religion again? The the mini religion.
The legions, yeah,
The
the
legion.
legions of Ra. The
The
many
legions
of Ra.
around, right? Don't get tied down, family. Expand. You see me? And make sure you take these notes, fam. Absorb this knowledge. Don't just hear it. Listen, right? Filter it. Digest this shit and take time. You're not going to get this shit in this one session. You probably have to watch this a couple times. You feel me? Because, yeah. And again, this shit's going up on everything and it's going to be wide open, family. I'm leaving this shit open on everything. See it on the Patreon. Hopefully I can post it here on the Instagram. I'm going to put it up on everything. You get me? Yeah, hopefully. I'm going to try to post it on Instagram if they let me. Sometimes they don't. But this is going up on everything, family. This is for the education. You heard me? For real. Everybody's getting this one. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, yeah, join the Patreon if you want to. You click the link in the profile description. You know what I mean? Support the movement. Support all the brothers and sisters in the fucking movement in the real way. Just your love. That's what it is. That's the love. The energy.
Hey,
I'm going to
look.
switch it to.
Hey, look,
Write it
that
down,
brother
family.
he went in with the receipts, like showing what he talking about. Man, that's that shit harder than my shit.
Man, I know it gotta be tough then, bro. Come on, that's gotta be like what's harder than concrete?
Hey, look, he went through some stuff I was already explaining. He just went into the intimate details of it.
Wow. Say the name again, his name?
B. Dell.
B. Dell. Okay, got it. Oh, hold on 1 second, fam. Give me 1 second. Listen, thanks, man. I'm going inside. Thank you, bro. All right. Sorry, guys. Sorry. My bad. I apologize. The dude was here working on the dryer, bro. The dryer had crapped out on us. So he fixed this. It's up and running. Thanks to Josh. Yeah. I don't got to walk around in wet clothes anymore, family. It's broke for like 2 days. Nah, I'm joking.
Hey, look.
Yo.
The synchronicity is ridiculous, though. When you called me walking your dog while I was walking my dog yesterday.
Right.
Look.
Yes, real talk. I was older, you feel me? I was little nephew chopping down the block. Yeah, right when I called you, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And here making noise.
Look, I broke my spliff. You almost lost yours.
Right. I did. I had to double back for it. I was like, yo, right when we were chopping too. It was the spirits, huh? Definitely.
Yeah. Keep everything in sync.
Yeah, man. Always in the balance. Always lit. You see me? Yeah, man. Truly. So, yeah, man. Thank you, Brother Rod, again for passing through with us. You see me? Yeah, man.
For sure. Bang, bang.
It was amazing, bro. And family, thank you guys for being here with us. You see me? Yeah. And once again, Brother Rod, we're going to go out into the expanse some more. You feel me? I'm going to chop it up with the family a little bit. You see me before I end it. And yeah, like I said, thank you. We're going to come back and do this again. And we'll see what these people are talking about on their show. See what's really going on with them. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, I'm
gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna watch it, and it depends on the people's response whether I respond or not.
Exactly. But just like
most
that.
Most of the people got a handle on what's going on, so I'm not really worried about it. But I gotta let them do their thing because you know
it is.
In order for good shit to happen, bad shit have to be present.
We need that resistance.
Remember what Paul said in the Bible? When I try to do good, evil is present with me also.
There you go. Not trust.
You're not finna go through this shit without no opposition. Ryan Holiday wrote a book, The Obstacle is the Way. Stoicism.
Stoicism. The Stoics. Hear it, family? Balance is the key. Is what I say. Yeah, man. And thank you again, my brother, my elder, my chief. Big respect, General. And family, thank you guys for being here for the support. Y'all was amazing. The show was amazing. And I feel like we cleared the air as usual. The energy sparking up. And yo, the energy is the energy. Energy don't lie. Everything is everything. You feel me? And we gonna flow, man. Just like that. Yes, into the higher realms. You see? Yeah, man. So, Brother Rob, I don't even know how to close the screen out.
Don't worry about it.
Close your
I'll exit out, but I wanted to tell you this before I go. Don't forget to get the receipt on the celebration next year. that Donald J said. So I'm about to go look that
I'm gonna
up, and
call
then
you
I'm
right
gonna wait
after.
for
I'm
you
gonna
to
call you
message
right
me.
after.
Okay.
I'm gonna call you right after.
All
I'm
right.
not gonna call you right after. I want those receipts. Absolutely. You see what I said? You already know how we chop anyway. We gotta chop it up otherwise. You feel me? Yes,
Yep.
I. Blessings. Bless God.
All right,
Truly.
Rand, we out. Those stealthy priests that wore the color commonly associated with the term. The Black Wolf Clan, the Black Eagle Clan, the Black Hawk Clan, the Blackfoot Clan, right? The Black Cougar Clan, which we know today is the Black Panther Clan. All these different clans are the clans that's fighting the actual conjure war of self-identity lost in a contract, a blood oath, then the secondary constitution that's kept in the George Washington Masonic Memorial was written in the blood of the Chief Crispus Attucks in order to keep us under the conjure's spell. It's the same as the continuation of the ancient spell of Kingu that's put us in this Kali Yuga. When you break one, you break them all. It's cycles within cycles, and if you don't ever break out the cycles, you're stuck in an infinity loop, forever repeating the same bullshit over and over until you get it right. The exit from the infinity loop is where the pieces all meet in the middle, on both sides. It's an 8 on this side. 6 over the 9 makes an 8. 69 is balance. This is why they say he stood on Pisces and Vesica Pisces. It's the same thing. 2 water signs. One is a crab and one is 2 fish. And the crab is a crip. Unless he a crip on the flip, then he's a Pyru with the C on his side. It's 2 tribal knocks in the code that we have to figure out. And all of this, the fish is, I will make you fisher of men. Well, you first got to make me a fish hook. So King James bent the I into a J to conceal who Isis was, so we'll be perpetually confused. Because if you straighten out the J, it's going to go right back to Isis. That means it's going to be returned back to mama. So you teach a man to fish, and he can eat for a lifetime. I'm a fishing motherfucker. My mama taught me to fish at an early age. The ship narrative doesn't make sense. The slave ship narrative is it defies all logic. Mm-hmm. They said we was packed in the hull of the ship like sardines, man to man, foot to head. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And the construction that they was using for them wooden ships back then, that's a gas chamber in 2 days. You got to remember, you got 9 seafaring people on the ocean. What happened to you when you get seasick? Don't you get nauseous?
Absolutely.
So that means you're going to be throwing up. So it's going to be vomit. Going to be full of vomit down there because there's a whole bunch of people that's not seafaring. Right? Then, to take it a step further, you're going to have bathrooms. Ain't no bathrooms.
Same question.
And where they shitting and pissing at? Back then, they used to shit on something called the poop deck. And this is where you get your term swab the deck. That means go clean the bathroom, motherfucker. There's shit everywhere. But if you got that many people shackled and chained, you can't run bathroom breaks enough for everybody to get relief. So it's going to be a whole lot of buildup of fecal matter and urine in the hull of the ship. Anybody that done smelled hot piss know that ammonia gonna be kicking. You ever smell a bottle of ammonia?
Yes.
Okay, imagine that shit everywhere. It's a gas chamber. This is supposed to be a 90-day journey. It's only a 2-week journey from Europe to New York. Y'all gotta pay attention.
Right.
It's a 2-week journey from Europe to New York, It's a 90-day journey from Africa to the islands where they call the Middle Passage.
In the 1500s.
That don't make no fucking sense. That's a convenient story to separate your identity away from the land. It's more likely that the people on the slave ship died off than the people from the land died off. Basic logistics and basic critical thinking would tell you that. If we in the open air, they in the closed chamber. It's a difference. Right? So some of us probably did die off from the diseases that the Europeans brought.
They died off on this land. Why not?
We still dying from shit that they brought. Why we ain't stopped dying from the shit that they brought if we still here? I'm Mississippi clay dirt walking. I know where I'm from. My roots go right down that Mississippi River. Mississippi red clay dirt walking. You can smear me with it, and if you didn't know that I was smeared with it, you wouldn't even know I had dirt on me. I know where I'm from. It's not a secret. And the earth tells me where I'm from by the resonance of what we call the nativity. The nativity of the Christ. The anointing. The anointing is the oils. The oils are in the ground that's telling us where we come from. But we want to go with the narratives that other people tell us who we is rather than following what our ancestors told us. Here's the thing. Go to roots. Fiddler is telling the people when Kunta Kinte get there, this is the African Guinea nigga. See, we don't know nothing about no Africans. We was already here. Why is this in the slave movie? Why is this fiddler saying we don't know nothing about no Africans?
I remember that too.
Right? So they telling you, but they still shrouded in a fairy tale. So we don't have a personal issue with Africans.
No.
Because they got done the same way we did. But I can tell you this, in the 1800s, they took some of us and set up a whole nation over there called Liberia.
Liberia, I knew you was going to say it. You better talk. You better talk.
So we know they took us over there. And we know that all of the Africans that I didn't talk to, none of them have it in their historical record of mass amounts of people being extracted from the land. It don't exist. But what you do have is 10 to 12 here and there being snatched up by Arab slave traders before they rally the troops. Right? That's been going on long before the slave trade. The Arabs started that shit, they financed it, and Europe carried it out. But we didn't know that the Europeans carrying it out looked like us. Because they whitewashed them in the history books so we could always look at the pale face as the guilty culprit. When they just used the pale face to keep us out of institutions. So Big Mama said, don't worry about it. Bring them all over here, the ones they don't want, and we're going to educate them and send them in to overrun their institutions and put the secrets out in the open. So when Noble Drew Ali came, he gave them the green light. What happened? We had something called the spiritualist movement in the 1900s, where they was doing the rapping and tapping on the tables to tell us in the future what was going on in the past. So when we picked up hip hop, we started rapping and tapping on the tables and spitting the past out in the present. It's the old conjure. That's from New Orleans. That's the whole rapping conjure is a New Orleans based conjure from root magic in the deep woods of the motherfucking Louisiana bayou. That's where it come from with the old juke joints. This is where jazz come from. Rock and roll. bluegrass, country music. It all comes from that conjure because we always believed in putting the message on the drum. And all of them needed the drum, except for Scott Joplin. He used the piano because that's what they brought with them when they came from Europe. They didn't never expect that we would be able to learn to master the piano and come up with our own music that made that classical music sound like shit. So Scott Joplin said, let me have a go at it. And they called it ragtime.
Mm.
And it was the birth of the music industry, selling his sheet music for a penny a page. And he wasn't getting a dime of it. Old sharecropper agreements. You created it and we gonna capitalize on it. Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity with a key on the kite and he didn't get fried. Make that shit make sense. Because he sure would have been fricassee. He would have been roast cracker. If that motherfucking lightning would have hit the key with that string on there. We forgot lightning followed the path of least resistance. The key becomes a conductor and the electricity shoot both ways up the string. And we supposed to believe that shit? The first automobiles being made over here, they credited to a paleface. But it was brothers who was already driving cars in the 1800s first. They the ones who was creating those crank up engines. They still got the flyers. You can find the flyers from the brothers' cars that was back then. They want us to not know who we is, but we always know our handiwork if we the salt of the earth. What do salt do to your food? Don't it balance out all the flavors?
Mm.
Okay, so what do we use to balance out the society? We use arts and entertainment. And this is how they brought the sharecropper agreement into the entertainment industry. So they can capitalize on the natural expression of the people and monetize that shit for they self and they self gain. We do have every race in the genome of the Dark Mother. Right? What we call races, they're not races. They tribal genetic types. Right? But the term race is applied to the game of the gods in trying to race to the conclusion of the closing of the age. So when we using the races in terms like melding pot, one drop of blood, stuff like this, they're telling us in code what's taking place. So this takes us to what Bobby Hemmett calls the great debauchery, where the natural evolutionary process of humans was interrupted by scientists in the laboratory that caused genetic mutations. You're going to notice in about 20 years that mutations are going to start to decrease because all of those mutations now are under scrutiny by the mitochondria, who is the factor that clears up genetic defects in Y chromosomes and X chromosomes. But the Y chromosome specifically, because a lot of the defects came in riding on the Y chromosome based on what was done in the laboratory. They altered the genetic structure of humans to keep them perpetual slaves and never have a right to ascend to higher consciousness. What happens when they try to ascend to higher consciousness is the body begins to deteriorate and break down. Excuse me. A prime example is Stephen Hawkins. He was only left brain. He never activated his right brain. Because his intellect was so high, he didn't have the right brain to offset the rapid firing of the neurons in the space of the silver liquid. The silver liquid is the liquid that your cerebral spinal fluid pump at birth. As you develop, you're supposed to develop into where you're pumping a right brain, left brain simultaneous pump, and draws up what's called the sacred secretion from the root chakra all the way up to the brain. This in turns make the silver liquid become gold in color. And when it does that, the right brain, abstract creativity of the mother side of the brain, in the Queen's chamber sits the pineal gland that received the psychic impressions from source. So what they did in the laboratory with the people is turned off right brain reactivity by genetic splicing of the DNA. When they done that, now we are under a judgment from Prime Creator for violating the rules in the free will universe. The will of a group of people has been undermined by scientists in the laboratory that prevents them from natural rights of ascension. In the same text that tell us about this genetic defects, the Sumerian tablets, it also tells us that the remedy for the problem is to give them the blood of the gods. They ain't talking about the men, they talking about the sisters. Because she is the genome corrective analysis comes through the mitochondria. But she first have to assess the genome. Right? And assessing the genome, when at the close of the age, you get the source codes in, they already came in, the women now holding the source codes that will correct all of the defects that was created in the laboratory. So now everybody will have the equal rights of ascension. And this is why they told us the Jesus story the way that they told it to us, because the blood of the Christ is the blood of the anointed, because Christ means anointed. And the anointed ones are the original dark mothers of the earth. So this is why all of these people are coming over here, because this is where source blood was at its highest potency on the planet. The tribes from this land. And we also had intermixed with the Asians and the Africans, so we already had they genetic codes too, right? So now when the new people come, they need the drop of blood in order to break the cycles of the infinity loop. And this is the conquest of the great debauchery in the experiments done on people in laboratories that was repugnant to the Great Mother. There's stories written about it in hieroglyphics, right? And
do you believe that the birth of civilization, that humanity, humans or whatever, that they came from one place in one region?
It was spontaneous around the planet.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, the women have always been here. The men are the newest of the genders.
Yes.
Women used to produce with parthenogenesis until a collection of women decided to produce men as a counterbalance. Let's go to cut to the chase on the DNA test. The fine print say it's for entertainment purposes only.
Purposes only.
So the DNA test says for entertainment purposes only, right? So that means that whatever it is, if it's for entertainment purposes only, it can be altered to fit the narrative that they're using as the entertainment. It's like wrestling being the outcome is determined. It don't matter what happened in the match, the outcome is determined. So the 21andMe, if you go back to Henry Louis Gates, he told you when Oprah went to Africa, she said on the news broadcast that she was Zulu. His friend called him up while they was doing her DNA test. Since they making it up as they go anyway, this is literally what he said. Since we making it up as we go anyway, just make her Zulu. And when her DNA test came out, they found out she was Zulu. They got to tell you what they're doing. They got to put it in the public domain so you can locate it, so that you can show what you're talking about when you tell people that it's an entertainment, and the entertainment is the slave narrative. To disassociate the people. It's the same with reparations. The only reparations we want is to get our shit back, because we back for everything they owe, but they just so happen to owe us everything. They won't have nothing to give us for reparations after that. Right? They all fabricated, built up on a legal fiction, a house of cards. And when you get the root card, the whole house comes tumbling down. Fruit of the poison tree doctrine and law. Right? They drew up those titles to the land because we didn't sell land no way. We didn't need no titles to the land. We already knew that the clan mothers governed the land and who settles where. And they had conventions. This is where you get your Congress from. Congress is a Congress of mayors. The mayors is town mothers. So they would go to a meeting once a year, and they would say, okay, this chief got 2,000 followers, but he's still under this other chief's jurisdiction. We need his own town. So he was get appointed to plot of land to settle based upon the natural formation of the land. Your land is between this mountain, this line of trees, this river, and this row of rocks. It's your town. That's your land. You go take your 2,000 people, separate from the chief that you under, because y'all don't see eye to eye, to prevent warfare from uprising in the family. So then they go and get their allotment, and then the resources goes with them to facilitate a successful settlement. This is not what we was doing before Columbus came. We got to go back to what we was doing before the enemy came if we want our shit back. Because the enemy gave us a system and told us if we use his system, he'll fight for us. And the only thing he's been fighting is us. You can't fight for us and fight us at the same time. That don't even make sense. That's called an oxymoron. You can't fight for us and fight us at the same time. They call us dependent nations in the constitutional law. Outlaw tribes, savage tribes, and non-treaty tribes are all of the terms they use to describe the tribes that didn't want to play their game. But we have to use our system. We can't use their system. It's designed to keep us forever in slavery.
On these lands went over into that continent. So it's very possible that when they took the test, they, because now they're considered Africans.
But that's possible because they created a whole country called Liberia. But right. they not telling people they from Liberia. They telling you from Sierra Leone, you from Ghana.
Right.
You from Somalia. Nigeria. They ain't telling nobody they from Sierra. From Liberia, where we do have genetic links to. That just so conveniently to skip all the DNA tests.
Because it's just they give you a part, but never can tell you how you connected. Like Dulcinea says, where's the person and the people that you are connected with? Not like a little portions, different portions.
Look,
never connect to it.
If you know how DNA work, once you get past like 3 generations, you have too many ancestors to tie you down to one. It double every generation back. Your 2 parents had 4 parents. Your 4 grandparents had 8 parents. Them 8 parents had 16. It doubles as you go back. If you go back 100 years or 200 years, you talking about 64 to 100 and some ancestors. Which one is they talking about was the African?
Facts. I threw that in to try to help them a little bit, but I'm with you with it.
Right. So DNA don't work like that. The DNA that they read only expresses what they call a phenotype. A general descriptive appearance that's on a specific code of the DNA. And they assume because you have the same physical characteristics as somebody on the other side of the water that this will fit the narrative to disassociate them from the land. We ain't that dumb no more.
And
We used to be.
yes.
We used to be, but we ain't that dumb no more.
Hmm.
There's too many of us aware that we from over here because we feel it in our bones. We don't need nobody to tell us. The earth talk to us if we listen and tell us if we belong here. If we don't belong here, we get restless until we find where we belong. We still gonna always be tribes. Tribes mean families. We can always break up into extended family groups. It's just the nature of who we are. This is why when we started tribing up in the 60s and 70s, they started labeling the tribes as gangs because most people don't know gang mean tribe. Right? So we just need to first close down the old system, and nature will put us back in the proper structure as the tribal mothers step up and be recognized, and the families will begin to remember shit. They don't know why they remember it. We know everything already about the land. Talk to us, telling us what took place. But we have to get back into the energy where we receptive to the messages that the land is producing to tell us the whole story. The animals reenact the story, the trees. Like most of us, a high percent of us don't know that you used to be able to walk the treetops from Florida to damn near Texas without ever climbing down out of a tree getting on the ground. But they chopped all the trees down because it was wartime. And they took all of the cypress trees out of Florida, which was the giant trees that covered the land of flowers. This is all researchable information. That was the side effect of the Gullah Wars. They started gator baiting our babies because we used to ride alligators and sick alligators on their ass in the bottom of the canopy on the ground in the swamp, and used to attack them from the trees in the top, and they didn't have a chance. So it was all derived out of warfare. The genetics, the genetic information that they feeding us back from their DNA testing is all warfare. We can either win the war or we can choose to take sides with the enemy. Using a court system only gives them jurisdictional context to assert jurisdiction under the color of law. We don't need them for nothing. We don't need their courts, which was established, the first bar association was established in Savannah, Georgia, about 1863, 1864, by order of King George, to usurp the tribal courts. We still have tribal courts over here, but because we believe they more legitimate than we are, we only participate in their system. There's nothing they can do once we get back to our own culture. The land was used to facilitate farms, to produce foodstuffs to take care of the family wherever they was at throughout the country. We used to ship food from Big Mama house to the villages. Well, we call them towns and cities now, right? But they were just little settlements of people. Some of them had castles, some of them had huge buildings, and some of them had small houses and huts, log cabins. But it was what we choose to do with our settlement, and that was part of us receiving settlements, is being able to control our own destiny. I think I understand what you're saying. So when you have the blood rights as a member of the royal families of the land, you become what's called a pretender to the throne. And your life work becomes the foundation that you build as you go on a campaign to alert the rest of the heirs on the land that you assert in your jurisdictional right to restore the land. And so the campaign is a process called the redemption process that we follow, where we use the oral tradition. This is why I use social media, because it's all time stamped and dated in archivable format for the purposes of public notices. So whatever I'm putting in the public domain, no matter whose show I'm on right now, I'm also asserting my rights to restore the land back to the original people, wherever they at on the land. It don't matter where you at, because once we get it back, the family will have family reunions again, centered around one of the grandmamas we would call big mamas. And they would set up the family um, trust, which is your family banking system, in order to allocate resources to the members of the family. And even the tribes that don't think from referring to them will receive their tribal rights back under our system that they were denied under the corporate fiction that was the interim government for the time of war. That's over with. They closed March the 1st. Right. So, well, that's the scheduled day of closing. They're supposed to have been closed. But they have no bill on the table to try to extend their legal fiction any longer than March the 1st. So we will be having a national Mardi Gras next year. Trump announced it as a 250 year celebration, right? Which takes us to February the 25th, and it's 25 on two flips, which is 2 quarters. 2 quarters is 50 flip. And you have 50 on each side. That's 200, which is the 4-corner shuffle to put everything back in its proper order. There's balance on both sides. 2 quarters on this side, 2 quarters on that side, which turns out to be 4 sevens, which is 4 masters. So it's all about getting back to our own systems, so that we can be self-determining and autonomous, and we can make all of those decisions at the leadership summits about who gonna settle where and how we gonna tribe up. We got the right to restore our cultural heritage any way we see fit, without anybody's outside opinion even being given a fuck about. It's not about and that was called the Ottawa Territory, and it was a conglomeration of tribes from all through what they call it the Northwest Territory. But we called it Ottawa Territory, and it was a group of tribes that was belligerent to the settlers crossing the Appalachians, interfering with the inland, what became later known as the Louisiana Purchase. The protectorate agreement of the French that they sold to the English was to make sure nobody crossed the Appalachians and went into. This is why you bring up King George, because they was not supposed to cross the Appalachians and go into what they called back then Indian territory or Bigfoot country, where the niggas with them big ass feet be stomping you across your neck.
Oh, come on now, my feet ain't.
So when they telling us the stories, they telling us we mythical creatures, we werewolves. No, we not werewolves. We just werewolf pelts when we fucking you up. Right? We wear the pelts of the jackal, or what we call over here the coyote. Right? So they came over as bloodsuckers. They vampires. We was already here, and they say we look like kin, so they call us lichens. And they tell us it's a story called Twilight. It's just a love story, but between a little pink girl and a little pink boy. But the native tribe turning into werewolves in the movie, and the pink motherfucker come from Europe to marry the little chick, because she got the blood from both tribes, the European tribe and the American tribes. So he gonna try to marry her so they can have this special baby. This is a story is redundant. It's the same shit over and over. Your whole Jesus Christ story reworked. Born of the blood of the Jews, but they murdered his ass at the hands of the Romans. It's the same fucking story.
Yeah.
They just dress it up in a different suit. It's the same goddamn lie. It's just a well-dressed lie now. It was dressed up to look like a superhero.
Yep.
Remember, the pale face came for a drop of blood.
They always hurting somebody's feelings.
Right? J.A. Rogers in Sex and Race and Nature Knows No Color line say, and Superman and Man say that there was no self-respect in one of us that would touch one of them, and there was none of them that would touch one of us. How do you get one of us to get with one of them? You got to tell us we can't do it. You got to make us rebel against the order of the day. They had no beauty standard, but they can only develop one once they get their drop of blood because their genetics doesn't allow for it. This is why they wore the corset dresses with the fox fanny. Yep, Nature Knows No Color line. He's telling you that when they came over here, we wouldn't mix with them. We wouldn't touch them motherfuckers. Right? So when you force a people until you get to the mulatto stage and the octoroon stage, you can turn them loose on either side of the fence and they'll mix for you to get the drop of blood throughout the spectrum. This is what he was reading when he was showing you that we ain't like them motherfuckers and they ain't like us. But they have to get their drop of blood some kind of way. And they unleash the reign of terror to get it. And they was brought over here to keep us from ever getting into the institutions to get to the information. Right? So this is what he's telling you in the story that he was reading is my man is describing how we perceive them, how they perceived us, and trying to figure out how to make us to perceive each other differently from two different sides of the world. Right? The snowman meet the sun man. Goddamn. Iceman inheritance. They got to go through a catharsis to get that evil shit out their blood that was put in them in the laboratory. The catharsis look like racism. It looks like sexism. It looks like oppression. Until they get fed up with the shit their parents did. That one drop of blood take hold in their psyche. They ain't gonna like that shit. So now you gonna see pale faces. What number would you always say? I'm gonna make the pale face tell you the truth. How is he gonna do that? He gonna talk to that one drop of blood. And that one drop of blood, I don't care what vessel it's in, it's gonna respond to the chief. This is what the whole crucible of God, great melting pot story that they're telling us the whole time. They telling us what they doing. And we not paying it no attention because it sounds like a slick slogan from the government. It's not. This is why eugenics was created, to make it look like they wanted to genocide us, to force us to accept some people we wouldn't accept. It's reverse psychology used at its maximum potential in a sociological instead of an individual capacity. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit no more. Now I'm trying to get, I want my big mama back. Fuck the bullshit. Because when Big Mama come home and all of her daughters get their shit back, we good. We could figure out everything else at that point.
So when is that supposed to happen?
Now in real time. Yeah. It's going down real time right now. The process is processing.
Understand, Big Mama. This part of me, I'm trying to.
You might not be one of us.
Or so it takes to be one of us.
He's a Hebrew
Israelite.
He might not be.
Why wouldn't you understand Big Mama, but you understand Big Papa?
He's a Hebrew Israelite. I mean, listen, there you go. That's the doctrine.
The return of Big Mama.
We're restoring the matriarchal structure that the tribes operated on before the rogue patriarchs brought their Bible bullshit over here.
Paleolithic time.
It's just as simple as that. We say Big Mama because every clan called their tribal mother Big Mama or something like that. Mud Deer, Nana, right? It just depends on who she was, but the tribal mother we called them Big Mama.
God.
He directly described the nature of lions, but what's the nature of the gorilla?
Same thing. A female
No,
gorilla.
it's not the same thing. When a male gorilla take over, he don't kill none of the babies.
Well, I know
He fathers them all. The reason why I pointed out the difference in the nature of the lion and the gorilla is the evolution of the masculine in the species. The evolved masculine understand that the nature of the feminine, she may have children when he meet her. And the evolved man is going to nurture and father them children like they his own. But the unevolved man is going to have an attitude with the children and become easily frustrated with them because they not his own. It's a difference. It's levels to this shit.
I understand, but we talking about gorillas or men because you're saying the uninvolved.
The same way you matched up the lions, I'm just showing you that the difference in the two species. The human species is above all that shit. But we don't want to accept that reality yet. We ain't culturally mature enough again. We have to remature back into the evolved beings we were when we nurtured everything on the planet, including the lion and the gorilla. Earlier, one of the sisters mentioned their uncle had always surrounded himself with a group of women.
I was just getting ready to say that.
There's something else that happens when you surround yourself with a group of women. You live longer.
Most loyal soldiers.
Look, we ain't even
Never
got to that
worry.
part. I'm talking
Fact.
about the energetic difference,
That's a fact.
right? The mitochondrial support from multiple women allows the man to heal from some shit that he wouldn't have healed from without her. A group of balanced women are Tesla coils of healing mitochondrial resonance. This metaphysical science in the tribes was based on metaphysics. We move on the earth like the stars move in the sky.
See,
Wait, Apostle, let him finish.
Yeah.
It's all energy. It's all energy and energy management, resource management. As the gods, we ain't supposed to be walking around here trying to pretend to be animals. We supposed to do God shit. So I'm not finna go pissing on every tree I walk past like a dog just because I'm a man. But a dog gonna piss on that, right? Because some plants will kill you dead and some plants will make you whole. But you got to know the difference in the ones. And the women was the ones who came up with herbology. They was already here doing herbology before they decided to produce a Y chromosome.
Yeah, sure did.
So your first medicine man was actually a medicine woman. Your first shamans was actually a priestess walking the land. Some women is so disturbed in the self, they supposed to be by themselves. This is why you always got the story of the old lady living in the woods in a little hut by herself. They call her the witch of the woods. But she just was too volatile to be in the community, so they kicked her out. Her energy was pure chaos. The women didn't allow toxic women to infect they clan. That's not the man's job. It's the women's job to oust the rotten rogue women. And it's the men's job to correct the bad men. So part of their system is stopping the good men from correcting the bad men with the force of the government. You have endocannabinoid receptors in all your organs, all through your brain. The endocannabinoid system is the glue or the link between your spirit body and your physical body. The shaman's been aware of this for thousands of years, Western science is only just now discovering the endocannabinoid system. The marijuana chiefs is the ones that use it for psychic facilitation, to allow your psychic senses to become active, because the world around us is at a stress level that it drowns out your psychic voices in your head. So the ganja is one of the methods you use to break down the surrounding environment and to enhance the internal dialogue. We've been doing this for thousands of years. This is nothing new to us. And also, if you remember, every time they went to go sign the treaty, they had to smoke the peace pipe. Why? Because the ganja make you a built-in lie detector.
Good point. Yeah.
So if they come in with the treaty and they telling us it mean one thing, but it means something else, and you make him smoke that ganja, he can't lie to you. Especially when you put him in the middle of 2 or 3 chiefs, because they standing on truth. And the lie becomes almost impossible to stand up in the presence of truth. So you smoke the ganja to make the psychic sympathetic link. So when he started to tell that lie, you can say, you ain't turn your mouth to tell me that lie you about to say. I already know. That's when they came up with the term pale face speak with forked tongue. That don't mean he lie. But everybody think it mean he lie. It don't mean he lie. It mean he's talking for 2 people. He talking for himself, and he talking for the one sitting. That splits the tongue. So the chiefs knew this. So he tell Paleface, what do you want versus what the people that had sent you want you to have. This is how we was able to get Paleface to assist us in every time we tried to rise up. We was facilitated by pale faces, and we was cut down by chocolate nappy-head Negroes. Then Mark Vasey, he was assisted by a pale face who died with him. Gabriel Prosser was assisted by a pale face. Nigga told on him.
Well,
so everywhere we go, COINTELPRO, the Panthers was infiltrated by nappy-head Negroes.
That you right about that.
The Nation of Islam was infiltrated by nappy-head Negroes.
Shame.
Didn't no paleface infiltrate the nation. And this is how you know that when they killed Malcolm, paleface didn't want nothing to do with that. Because he knew that's the wrong one for us to touch. Let them ones that's telling us to kill him, kill him. The French told us when he tried to land in France when he was going to Mecca. When they said, we don't want your blood over here. We don't want no parts of that. And Malcolm knew he was being followed over there. Nation of Islam wasn't following him over there. Who was following him? There was those people that look like us that's running everything behind the scenes. They control. Everybody think that the CIA, the KGB, and the Mossad are different organizations. They are the same. They want us to pay attention to the war in Gaza. Why? It's a distraction. It don't got nothing to do with us. The first thing we got to realize is the same chocolate complexion, nappy head Babylonians is the same ones that infiltrated them, was the same ones that infiltrated us. If we don't never put that together, we won't understand, because it was the scramble for Africa under the Berlin Conference that divided that landmass up and drew the name Africa, which is an Arabic word, ifraka, which means to divide up. They named it that because of they didn't name it after Scipio Africanus. They didn't name it after Leo Africanus. It's named after the events of the Berlin Conference in Arabic, because it was some dirty Moors behind the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So look, we we went into the war using catch terms to classify groups of us. The catch term more, if it's encompassing more than just one group of people.
Right.
This is why we say righteous more, dirty more. Because it was under the banner of more that we was fighting the Conjure War, the 200 years war of George Washington, where it was challenged to bring a ceasefire to the Gullah Wars, for the Mississippians to go into a Conjure War against those ones from Europe that got exiled. There wasn't pink people getting exiled out of Europe in the Spanish Inquisition. They was exiled in the Moors. In the French Revolution, they was fighting the Moors, the black nobility of Europe that lived in Switzerland. You can't live there no more. Ain't nowhere safe for them nowhere on the planet. Right? They done turned the militaries of all of the countries that's fighting for freedom against the cabal. The same ones. It's an ancient royal family, right? They've been doing this for years. Their time is up. They had 6,000 years to run their tyranny. It's over. And I'm the last chief to come and say it's over before y'all see the result of it being over. The DNA is the biggest fraud of this century. It's for entertainment purposes. The people that run it tell you it's for entertainment purposes only, and that it's not accurate. The only DNA that's real accurate is parental determination. They don't test the same amount of genetic material to find your ancestry that they do for parental verification. And it's easier to find the markers of a parent than it is 10 grandparents back. Right? So every child got 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great grandparents, 16 great great grandparents, 32 great 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 grandparents. Okay, now which one of them from Africa? And then what happened when they amalgamate with the dark-skinned, woolly-haired tribes of this land? How much DNA material is expressed in 10 generations? See, the royal families of the earth understood what the European didn't find out until the development of what's called the Habsburgs gene and the hemophilia, or the hemophiliacs that caused the War of the Roses. They didn't know that you have to marry into different royal families of the world if you're going to be having incest, or else the genetics will become corrupted. So what did we do? Princesses and prince from over here was chiefs and junior chiefs was marrying in Africa all up and down the seaboard of the eastern coast, all in the islands. This is not new, but they want us to believe that we just started encountering each other in 1492.
Right.
But Ivan Van Sertima wrote They Came Before Columbus, that shows you our interaction with peoples of Africa long before Columbus sailed. Right? So we already know historically we have royal families over here marrying African royal families on the eastern seaboard. The western seaboard, we have records of marrying Asians and trade across the Pacific to diversify the genetics. This is why we look so many different native appearances, and this is why when they brought their slaves, they was able to send them to Indian school to impersonate us. Because some of us look Asian. Because we had Asians in our blood. This is where we all got Lee in our name from. Birdie Lee, Arthur Lee, Henry Lee. right?
All
And
different.
right, the name become popularized because it's the connection of the tribes in the Americas with tribes from Asia long ago before Columbus ever was born. But we don't know what that stuff means because we don't know the culture no more. See, once they start trying to corrupt the culture and fighting a war on the culture, they could figure out how to divorce us from the land by making us forego reading our culture and understanding our own movements as a people. Right? They have the maps of them moving the North American slave trade where they was taking us from the north, taking us to the south, telling us we from Africa. They was taking us from Louisiana to the islands, telling us we from Africa. Shuffling us around like we don't know who we be. We know who we be. They just don't know. DMX told them they don't know who we be. But we know because we have various ways to communicate beyond the common measures that they gave us. They think we can only communicate by talking. I could feel a chief on the other side of the country if you want me to, if you're trying to get a message to me. And then I'll get some kind of event in the physical world to show me that he's talking to me for real and it is not my imagination.
I'm gonna go another route now. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, in information, I always used to hear the black woman is God, right? And, I'm like, cool. My mom God, you know what I'm saying? My mate, my mom black. She's, she birthed me. You know what I'm saying? And so on and so on. I see all these great things, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, fast forward to the time I got introduced to the Mama Zogbe and the Sybil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there reading this book, and I'm like, I had no clue what these sisters, how powerful and what they were doing, back then. So here's the question: you can, roll with it how you feel, but could you paint a picture of our original culture as being matriarch?
Mm-hmm.
It going through a time frame, and then the flip happening. Okay, and we're losing and going to patriarch, and now the rise of matriarchy. Could you kind of, walk us through that, please?
Okay, so the story is best told as the story of Oshun,
Mm,
right? So when you want the backstory, that's the story you go look for,
okay.
right? Under the patriarchs, when the men take power, they're supposed to take power in times of war, not in
Mm-hmm.
times of peace, right? So patriarchy got have its purpose until it's weaponized against the divine feminine, right? And in order to weaponize the patriarchal position, you have to refuse the right of the mother to get in her rightful position in the household. This is why they trying to convince women to go out into the work world. Every woman don't want to work. Some women want to stay home and fine tune the home environment so they can create heaven on earth for their family. Right? So the science of this is called feng shui. Right? The women who are the matriarchs, they are often accused of having OCD. Right? Because they always cleaning something. They always organizing something, primping something. That behavior in any other species is called nesting. Right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
they call it nesting when an expectant mother is about to have a baby and she cleaned the whole fucking house up at 9 months pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
But if she can keep it up and continue to do it, now she got OCD.
Yeah, yeah.
But what they don't understand is that process, what they call nesting, is actually her tuning her chakras and her portal, her vajayjay, into the frequency of the love energy. She's bonding with her child in the nesting phase. She can continue to bond with the child after the child is born by continuing with the nesting behavior. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where we understand how to raise children,
Mm-hmm.
right? By observing the natural phenomenon, we understand that the human women normally form circles around the children as they teach them things until the boys are old enough to go out with the father into the bush and take his rites of passage to becoming a man. Right? In the early years, the father's, he playing with his kids like every other father, but for a period of time, he's supposed to be in the hands of the mother to get certain critical starter lessons. Because the pair binding that they made is for her to teach him the basics to reading and writing, the basics to bathing, right? And then when she passed him over to the father, that part the father don't have to take care of now. He can start teaching him the culture, start teaching him how to live off the fat of the land, how to hunt. You know what I'm saying? How to live off grid if need be. How to live in the system, how to manage money. Right? If you know that your wife handle money better than you, if she's your wife and she really your wife and you really feel that way, she's supposed to handle the money. Right? And you supposed to make sure that it continue to come in so she can continue to generate heaven at home. So every time you're not out in the getting substance from the world to return back to the nest, when you get to the nest, you got heaven on earth.
That's it.
Right? So the women are the only people on the planet that you're getting in this motherfucker through as a human.
Yeah.
You're not coming in without going through the portal of life, and it's only owned by females. I don't give a fuck what the elemental P people say. Right? A woman is born genetically female at birth, grows up, goes through puberty, learns the ways of the woman, and that's how she get to be a woman instead of a girl or a young lady. Right? So it's just physiologically, genetically impossible. Even if they chop you up and remove your mainstream pieces, your DNA still gonna say you're a man.
Yeah.
Right? Which changes the whole understanding of what's taking place in the world. In order to attack the divine feminine, you have to remove the divine masculine because he will protect her to the end of the earth. Right? And this is what's going to call all of the tribesmen together to rally around the women when they start coming together saying, hey, they gave it back, clean it up.
Yeah. Our turn.
Yep. Unapologetically assert our position from our culture. That's all. If we assert our position from our culture using our traditional ways, there's nothing they can do but honor our instructions. We're going to see Larry and Angel Bay soon. I just don't know the date.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this. This government is in the process of transition. Right? DC is closed. The White House closed. The Senate closed. What they call the State House, whatever the fuck that motherfucker is.
Yeah.
That shit closed. The Federal Reserve is closed. IRS is closed. Y'all, the people just still participating in their shenanigans. That's why people not getting their income tax check. Ain't nobody hardly there.
So, historically speaking, you know what I mean?
She can move in ways that the rest of the pieces can't move.
It's the same way they did with religion.
Religion was one of their tools.
One of their tools. Same thing.
It's fall right under that category. Thanks. Shout out to Dr. Neely Fuller for making it clear.
And we're all being played like a piece on a chessboard or a checkerboard or something. We're just being played.
So the fact that we intermarried with people from Africa on the Eastern Shoreboard for thousands of years, many of the people from the Eastern Shoreboard genetic memory gonna call them back to Africa. But all of us is not going to be called back to Africa through genetic memory. Only the ones who have to be over there to activate a birthright. Now, some of us is going to be deceived over there and become food for wolves, or I should say hyenas. Because the false narrative, if you don't rise above that bullshit, you would be led anywhere in the world. Just like Jim Jones led all them people to Guyana and had them drinking the coffee or the Kool-Aid, right? Because they had no self-identity because they was absorbed in the doctrine of the dogma of the church. So the leader of the church lead them wherever he want to lead them, straight to their own destruction. It's the same thing. You can repatriate because a lot of people from Haitian descent is starting to wake up and feel like they need to be in Haiti, but they don't know why because they don't know they Haitian. Haiti calling her babies back home to rebuild Haiti. Jamaica calling her babies back home to rebuild Jamaica. St. Lucia and St. Croix is calling their babies back home to rebuild. Puerto Rico and Dominica is doing the same. But we don't understand what's taking place. And a lot of the people that's being drawn back to their homelands at this time don't know that that's where they're supposed to be at the close of the age. So some of them are being deceived over there, but some of them is going because they need to get their ass back to Africa to help them reclaim their shit. I don't got no problem with nobody from Africa. They can be unapologetically African as they want, and I'm going to be unapologetically organic to this land. That's all. It's not a conflict to me. It's only a conflict to the people that want me to feel like I'm from where they think they from. Whether they right or whether they wrong is not my concern. I am aware of where I'm from. So since I'm aware, I'm going to pretend that I don't hear none of their nonsense, and I'm going to pursue what is rightfully ours as a people by exercising my blood and my right to do so. And the more clans that can benefit, the better it is for the collective. So Africa is rebuilding Africa. If we ain't watching, we don't see them reclaiming their shit, kicking colonizing powers out, closing down the mines where they've been stealing their resources and not benefiting the people of the land. All that shit coming to an end globally. And the people that's being drawn to their land need to go home. I don't care where they from. I'm at home. But the other people that need to go home is being called home by their land. They need to go. I don't care whether it's China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. I don't give a fuck if it's Ethiopia, if it's Scandinavia. When the land call your ass, you better move or you're going to be food for the sharks. That's all. It's not nothing personal. This has to be done. Everything has to be restored back to balance for the new age to take full effect. And the benefits of the new age is a golden era. An era where we have technology unseen in thousands of years. They make us think it's new, but it ain't none of this shit new. Ain't nothing new under the sun. We done did all of this stuff we doing before. We going through all of the struggles we going through before, except before we didn't never successfully close the age, so we were stuck in the infinity loop. So we had to keep doing it over and over till we get it right. And they wouldn't let me play in none of the reindeer games until now. So now I'm just going to lead y'all to the promised land.
Okay, last question. I'm right. What are your thoughts about interracial dating?
I don't care who you date.
Mm-hmm.
Date who you want to date. Because now, with the one drop of blood doctrine being taken full effect, we all related whether we want to be or not. All the mulattoes that so-called left the plantation, where they go? They didn't go with us. Only a handful of them went with us. The rest of them went and married into somebody else. But they still got their drop of blood. Everybody got the right to ascend. Anybody that don't belong here won't be here because the earth gonna turn them off. So I don't care what you do. So they found bones up around Philadelphia that's older than this, were like 80,000 years old. They found them in Florida. All over the land, they've been finding bones that's older than bones that they've recovered from Africa, except for Lucy. Humans is primates.
Humans are primates?
Yeah, based on genetic definition of a primate.
Based on the status that they put us in with primates?
Based on the description, okay, so you got mammals, and then the mammals is broke up into types, and then they broke up into types.
Oh.
Right? And on the mammalian hominids are under the classification of primate.
Well, if you believe in that, then you're sure you do not believe in out of Africa theory, because all that comes together.
Are you talking about the evolution from a monkey to a human?
Yeah.
I don't believe that shit.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty much what they're saying the primates stuff is like.
No. Look, at different times, you have different upgrades to the genome. As these upgrades take hold, it alters the genome of the old species and produce a new species. It doesn't continue because the genome is no longer functional in the new system. So the current primates, though we have genetic similarities, they still not the same species. That's why we can't have sex with a chimpanzee and make a baby.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do some laboratory shenanigans to make it happen.
Why put us in the same category? Why can't humans have their own category?
They do. When you say human, you just gave us our own category.
Right, but when it's labeled out, it's like the monkeys, the gorillas, the chimpanzees.
All primate really is a hominid that uses his hands and his feet and has hair. That's it. There ain't nothing else to make it more distinctive or separate from what we is. It's just the classification for the understanding of the differences in the species across the spectrum, right? It's just like light. Yellow light is yellow light and red light is red light, but when you put all of the spectrum of lights together, you get a whole different kind of light. It don't mean that one light don't exist. It just means that when you get the whole spectrum, they're not the same as the individual pieces of the light spectrum. So look, humans didn't always stay permanently in human form during the duration of their life until they collapsed the fourth dimension into the third and locked us into the avatar. And what?
Go into it, Rod, because go ride.
We used to incarnate. We used to use the energy in the atoms from the surrounding area to create the avatar at will and at random. The same way women used to produce parthenogenically, but over time that changed with the advent of men. If you look at the Y chromosome under electron microscope, it's just a mutated X that lost about 40% of its material. So it produces the masculine gender. This just to institute the law of opposites in the realm so we can figure out how to get out of the infinity loop. So we can go into the next age, the age of Aquarius.
I'm sorry, Rod, go ahead.
So whatever our avatars is now, we used to take on different forms when we incarnate. That's why they used to call us shapeshifters. It wasn't that we were shapeshifted. It was the function that you was coming here to perform. You took on an avatar that gave you the tools to best deal with the situation according to the environment around it. So you didn't always incarnate in what looked like a human. Sometimes you came back 90 feet tall. Sometimes you came back smaller than an ant. But it depended on what you was doing as one of the guys that determined how you would manifest yourself in the 3D realm. It was just some scientists that understood how the spirit worked that figured out if they opened a portal between dimensions, they could trap us in an infinity loop and enslave us. Because they didn't think we would ever figure it out.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe in reincarnation of some sort?
I don't believe in it, I know, because I remember multiple past lives.
Okay. Sound like Subiacus.
And
Right? But all it is this how reincarnation works.
Okay.
The genetic sequence in your genome will align to allow the frequency to match the frequency of you at a prior time. Because it's like tuning a radio. When the genome aligns to the combination that allows your frequency in, that's when you come back into the physical realm. It's not that you're a different person. It's that your energy field is activated in a different point in time for you to add your spirit energy to the physical realm. Nationality is a admiralty jurisdiction designation. A ship has a nationality. I'm superior to a ship as a sovereign. If a ship has a nationality and you on par with the ship, it's only one way possible. You have to assume a straw man position so that you can do business as a vessel on the high seas. Your nationality. We are ascending beyond nationality now to sovereignty, which makes nationality no longer an order of the day. It becomes obsolete. It's expired. That contract no longer is valid. 100 years ago, you would have had to assume a nationality in order to do business on the land with the corporation. So nationality 100 years ago was the order of the day in order to get us out of the economic rut we was in. We don't need none of their shit now. We don't need their nationality. We don't need their citizenship. We don't need their government. So now we have to grow beyond the national box in order to liberate ourselves into our sovereign capacity. Most of the wars that we was fighting, when it first started, it was the ones in exile from Europe coming over here. And the ones that were in exile, we just so happened today to call them Moors. They was once called Etruscans, and then they became Tuscans or Tuscanians. And this is their settlement in what became Rome, as they established Rome as an extension of their empire. When they got kicked out of Europe, they needed a homeland. Ain't that the story? They got exiled and needed a homeland, so Yahweh promised them a homeland because they didn't have one of their own. What God gonna create somebody that's not native to nowhere on the planet? That God ain't from this planet. That gotta be somebody else God. Because the God of the earth know where everybody on earth belong if they from earth. And it talked through the earth to the goddesses of the earth first. This is why all of the best information is channeled through sisters better than a book. If you learn how to read, if a man learn how to read his woman emotions and stop trying to do all that secret squirrel, cool pimp daddy shit, they a powerhouse together. This is what they don't want, because we knew this before they came and we used it, and they discovered it what we was using, so they started murdering off the women that was married to the chiefs and marrying and murdering the chief till there ain't nobody up seasoned enough to deal with the problem. So now we got to learn how to communicate with women all over again, because the way that they teaching us how to communicate is totally destructive to our entire community. It's all about communication that we have our problems. If we understand who we is as a people, we get to overcome the obstacle of what they told us versus what we know to be true. We know everything, especially the sisters, because y'all got direct access to Akashic records, right? That's why I say when you learn how to talk to your uterus, you don't need nobody to tell you nothing at that point. That's big mama training. Because some women take years to learn how to effectively use that method. But once she do, she have direct source influence in her life